Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a Premier League presentation. I'm Blaze, bringing you guys a game between Team Empire and Radical Online Extremists. This is Game 2 in this best of 3 series. Game 1 went very quickly, with Team Empire just dominating like crazy. Vigos just completely screwing over Sharfik in the laning phase. Queen of Pain versus Rubik, not too difficult based on the movement speed advantages and things along those lines, but Vigos just showing how it's done. Anyways, I do have my co-caster here, Blatewind. How's it going, man?
Oh, it's going great. I'm looking forward to game number 2. Hopefully it is not quite as much of a stomp as game 1 was. I mean, I imagine we'll see a little bit of cute banning, but Vigos is one of those players that it doesn't really matter who you ban out, he'll have somebody he can play that in a fairly aggressive manner.
Absolutely. Now we do see, as far as the banning phase, they're very similar in nature. There's a couple of bans that didn't come on through, but it's not really changing the pace of what their teams are going to be looking at here. Taking out such bans as the Wisp and the Nyx are very common, as well as sometimes the Keeper of the Light. But we saw top 2 heroes such as the Keeper of the Light and the Darkseer get through without much trouble whatsoever. So interesting decision making by both teams here, sometimes intentionally leaving heroes in, but Team Empire knowing that Radical Online Extremists do actually have first pick, they're not going to leave that to chance. They're not going to leave anything that they don't want to have to fight against, any of those top tier supports in the pool. Now up against the Darkseer, I expect them to pick up maybe something like the Shadow Demon, but it's really, I mean, obviously anybody's draft here.
Oh, for sure, and I mean, the Keeper of the Light banned out. That's one of those heroes that you just, if you don't have first pick, you don't want him to get through, because as we saw in game 1, he's extreme, like, his ability to dominate lanes is just ridiculous. Darkseer sneaks on through. I mean, Darkseer, he's still considered very powerful, but not as strong as he was back in, kind of 6 months ago type of deal. Still very good. Wall is great. Vacuum's very great too, especially if you go with like an Enigma or a Magnus. And we see Vigos gets his Queen of Pain again, so...
Yep, right off the bat, no problem with that whatsoever. I mean, when you want to pick up something as key as the Darkseer to build a team around, when you want to go for that kind of AoE initiation, and synergizing with this with the puck is so very powerful as well. But going up with those kind of top tier heroes, Queen of Pain isn't that high of tier in most people's minds. It's definitely not like first ban material in their intentions, but Vigos plays it so well it might as well be. Like, if they leave it open, they're going to snatch it up, and Team Empire... just pretty much playing their same game, but with a completely different matchup. With Sharfik on the puck, it's a lot more balanced back and forth, where you can dodge out certain spells, avoid Shadow Strike entirely, and auto attack here and there, get a silence so that you can set up initiation on the Queen of Pain and actually make her the ganky rather than the ganker. And I think that should fare much better for Sharfik here compared to the Rubik, who has such slow MS in the first place that a slow on top almost impossible to get away.
Yeah, and we're gonna see some Lifestealer bombs here in the Queen of Pain, and I'm excited now. Like, it's always fun to see Queen of Pain blink and drop a Sonic Wave, and then all of a sudden just blood everywhere as pain happens.
Yeah. I think that's a really smart pickup of the Shadow Demon for ROX, the kind of preemptive supposition that Team Empire is going to run this lineup that they love. Blow your brain on the Lifestealer, jump around inside the Nature's Prophet, doing those global range Nyx bombs, as it were. With the Shadow Demon to be picked directly against that, using the Purge during the Rage, will make it so that Lifestealer, although he's great right off the bat in a gank scenario, in a team fight, more often than not, he's going to be slow to a crawl, just shambling along, and not able to do the damage that he intends to. And if they can kite him with the Shadow Demon and with the Surge from the Darkseer, I think that they're going to be in a relatively good position in the later fights. But the problem is that Team Empire doesn't have damage in just one hero. Queen of Pain and Nature's Prophet can turn into very powerful semi-carries themselves, and all the Team Empire really needs to do is add in a couple of disables to really round out their lineup here.
Yeah, and I imagine we'll see some more pickups to help shut down this Lifestealer, and I wouldn't be surprised if Empire looks to pick up either another carry or, again, have the Queen of Pain end up building towards that right click, because like you had said, the Lifestealer's biggest problem is that he is a melee hero, and he doesn't have a hard disable. It's not like a Chaos Knight who can pull people back, stun them. He only has a slow that has a relatively long cooldown, so with that Shadow Demon and maybe another pickup or two, we'll see him get kited very hard. And I mean, people have started building a little bit differently to help combat that with, it's very common now to see Phase Boots and Drum on him just to give him that extra move speed, that ability to keep sticked on people, because Lifestealer doesn't really want to change targets. Like, he suffers a lot if he starts right-clicking somebody and they run away, and then he has to start right-clicking somebody else. And so I imagine we'll see, again, like maybe Queen of Pain go for something, or even like a Marana or something I would be okay with. Just someone who's ranged that would help fill in Lifestealer's gaps.
Most definitely. I do really like ROX's pickup of the Lina, synergizing with the Shadow Demon in lane, the Darkseer in the mid to late game, and the team fights. It really, really is a solid pick, but it doesn't have much to counteract the Lifestealer. So my question was, if the draft would slow down a little bit, what would you pick up to go up against that Lifestealer toe-to-toe in a #1 carry role? But I guess we have our answer here with this Marana pickup, as interesting as it may be. Now, we know that Marana isn't going to be able to contest the late game, but I believe that's the idea behind it, is they're not going to try. They're going to try to make sure they put the pressure out early and just win fight after fight after fight with some hard burst, some magic damage here or there, and pretty much leave Lifestealer as the last man standing to just auto-attack on down.
Yeah, and I mean, I really like this, or the Silencer pickup, sorry. You look at the entire lineup of Radical Online Extremists, and, I mean, you can't Wall, you can't Dream Coil, you can't Demonic Purge, you can't Laguna Blade if you're silenced. So that global silence is going to, if it's done well, going to cripple Rox's team fight ability.
Yeah, and Godblock is very, very familiar with the supportive Silencer. They've been bouncing around the Silencer hero ever since he got put into Captain's mode, as far as who's going to pick him up, which role they want to play him. Godblock's played him, or sorry, Blue Brains played him in #1, Godblock's played him as a support. Even they've had Scandal run him in the mid in some circumstances. So they have tried every little different way to run this guy here, but I think they're finding a really, really good groove with Silencer in the supportive role. When you combine it with Silence Bane, you can set it up so that as soon as the Nightmare ends, they're getting hit by the last word silence, last word disarm, those kinds of things. And when you can kind of combine those two things together, and if they're open wounds to follow, that is an aggressive amount of kill potential on heroes that desperately rely on their spells to escape. You already mentioned that it's going to cripple their team fight, but also their escape potential with Phase Shift into Jaunt or the Leap from Marana. All these different things rely on them being able to cast to get on out of there, and right now Rox does not, right now Empire does not want to let that happen.
Oh, for sure. I mean, and Silencer is sort of like a gyro in the sense that you run him in the support role, and if you get some kills on him, that last word still ends up making it so later on in the game he can hit insanely hard. So I think that's kind of what they're looking to do, is get some good insteal on him, and then he'll be able to start doing glaives that will just crush people. And then he'll be able to kind of help shore up the Lifestealer. Lifestealer will become more of a bursty, I'll jump inside the Quab, we'll go in, do an Infest nuke, and I'll start doing what damage I can, but as soon as I get Demonic Purged and all this, then the Silencer will start throwing out those glaives and just doing tons and tons of damage.
Yeah. Most definitely, but yeah, one thing to keep in mind as far as the setup here is, although Roxas has a great team fight, if they cannot do a big impact, just completely destroy 2 or 3 heroes really, really quickly during their big cooldowns, during the Demonic Purge on the Lifestealer, so on and so forth, they're going to have a real big problem on their hands. Lifestealer, without any ways to slow him down, during that period of time of rage, that 6 seconds is a lifetime, and that's plenty of time. If he can get a good amount of farm, maybe an Armlet and a Desolator on top of his Phase Boots or whatever, that's going to make it so that he can just completely destroy 1 or 2 heroes without any contest. So they haven't drafted up against the Lifestealer in any way but the Shadow Demon, and as I mentioned to a lesser extent, the Darkseer. So generally speaking, if they do not put the pressure out, if they do not get a kill on him or a majority of his allies very, very quickly, then they are not going to be able to pull this in to the late game.
And again, one thing I don't really like about Rox's lineup either is the fact that the Marana is the only serious source of right-click damage that they have. And with a Bane and Enfeeble, 100 less damage at rank 4, that's tons. Or is it higher than that? No, it's 120. Yeah. So, I mean, that'll, again, cripple what their team fight, and you can't avoid that. You can't do anything to avoid Enfeeble once it's on you, and the Marana will basically just, an Arrow and Starfall, but later on, Starfall's kind of mediocre.
Yeah, it's definitely, they got to get an advantage early. That's what this is all about here. Dread will kind of give them a little bit of a backbone to fall on after the fact, but in this early game, it's going to be all about the Shadow Demon, the Lina, in some extent the Mirana, and along with that later on the Puck. So it's pretty much the presence early on. It's all about SD and Lina. Then the Mirana comes into play a little bit if she can get a good arrow here and there. Then the Puck, with it, once he gets that Blink Dagger, has huge amounts of initiation presence. And finally, Dread comes into play when he has about a rank 3 vacuum, a rank 1 or 2 wall of replica. Suddenly they are just, their team fight keeps on getting harder and harder to deal with. So rox.KIS is really just trying to make a big snowball out of this. Just start it off rolling slowly, rolling with a couple of good high presence supports. Nice does not deny of the illusion rune. And then from there they're just trying to make it so that the snowball rolls into an out of control spiral where Empire can't find the farm they need and they won't be able to keep up in general.
Yeah, and I don't know if you saw it, they had smoked up as 5 and wandered into the Empire jungle, and they were trying to catch out people. They almost got Go Black, they almost saw Silent, but they kept kind of jumping around and trying to find somebody, and then eventually the smoke faded off and they got spotted out by a treant. That was some gold wasted and a good chunk of time wasted as well.
Wow, that was perfect D-Ward. They actually put the sentry like right on top of the observer. So, like, it's right this little spot right here, because of course if they can negate vision early on, then their tri-lane becomes that much more dangerous. The support's unknown position, just getting in disruption range alone will set them up nicely. But Godblock going for an interesting build here, starting off with the Curse of Silent. Against, if you can land it on 3 heroes like that repeatedly, it'll start making a very, very large impact, because you're going to have to use mana one way or another. But you have to be careful about the timing of it. You can't just go when they're all clustered up, because there's going to be circumstances where they're very happy to throw their spells that direction, and they are very, very willing to oblige on some aggression in that regard.
Now, unfortunately, Blow is going to have a pretty rough time in lane here. He is up against 3 ranged. The Curse is going to do a decent job at keeping them back and kind of force them to avoid grouping up like that. And like you had said, they don't have an easy to dump spell. They don't want to start dropping Light Strike arrays to drop Curse off. They don't want to be bopping disruptions or anything like that.
Yeah, and the way that he's actually using these has been very, very effective. Actually, amid, holy crap, I didn't realize. Yeah, Sharfik is taking a lot here, and Vigas is just playing his style to a T. He's going for that rank 2 Scream. It has to be dodged by Sharfik here. He does use a phase shift already. If Vigas had just gotten in range, if he had predicted the jaunt, but he was worried. One thing about Puck is you don't have to jaunt to that orb. You can just pretty much make it 50-50. He's going to be either here or here, and in that situation, Vigas wanted to cover both spaces, but unfortunately could not cover the one to the northeastern extent, which allowed him to escape. Now we do have an engagement down on bottom with the open wounds onto Lina, doing a lot of damage here. The last word goes on through, and yeah, Yol is going to drop down here, no problem at all. Godblack taking the first blood, looking for more, but I believe Hardy's presence here will alleviate that threat.
Yeah, and that was a nice little pickup. It'll also give Blow a little bit more of breathing room, because as I can already see, he's getting denied pretty heavily. I mean, he is at 7 CS already, so he's doing alright, but I see a lot of denies coming out, so he's not doing as good as he could, like he did with that Luna that was just left completely alone.
Yeah, exactly. He's definitely being contested more directly, and I think that's a good move for Rox. I realize, okay, if we leave this Lifestealer farm, he's going to have phase drum and move in towards that armlet so quickly if he doesn't just go for a straight Midas to make sure that his farm excels as much as possible. But either way, they just respect Blow too much to let him free farm in the second game, and they're definitely making the right call in that regard. I'm just questioning whether the Mirana is the right hero to do it with here, because you can't actually combine a disruption into Light Strike Array on top of a Lifestealer. He can just spam Rage. He'll always get that sliver of time window in between. You see Dread actually barely dodging out that Sprout. Actually had plenty of tangles left, so wouldn't have been that big of an impact either way. But yeah, well, like I was saying, in that setup here, Shadow Demon and Lina cannot get that stun combo onto the Lifestealer and then follow that up with an arrow. They have to choose a lesser target, the Bane or the for some reason, Godblack Silencer. So that is pretty much what they're going to have to be looking for. They actually could find Silent right here, but of course they're as afraid of him as he is afraid of them. So it's just pretty much who wants to make the gutsier play, and right now being 1 kill behind, it's a little bit more difficult to take that risk.
Yeah, and it's kind of a catch-22, because like you had said, you can't just drop everything on the Lifestealer, because he's going to most likely, like, unless you have literally perfect chain stunning, he's going to get Rage off and then start ignoring them. But also, if you go on somebody else and leave the Lifestealer alone, you don't want to just ignore the zombie, man. He's gonna slap you.
Yeah, he's already got his boots up, for crying out loud. I mean, that's not what nothing the supports can say. Lina has 295 MS, and same thing on the Shadow Demon. They can get slowed so quickly with open wounds, and that little bit of extra to catch on up from the Lifestealer will allow him to do that damage like crazy. So this tri-lane, I almost feel like it's a really uphill battle. They're going to have to find some opportunities to catch off Silent Godblock, maybe trying to go for some creep pulls or something along those lines, but right now, with their aggressive wards, with rox.KIS actually negating the pull potential, that's great in the sense they won't be denied XP, but they're not actually obtaining anything positive on this lane.
Yeah, it's like they're sort of just sitting here.
Going for the arrow onto Silent. They do actually get the Life Striker ready to follow, but he's only sitting at 2/3 HP, and now, as you were saying, here's Lifestealer. They're going to TP and Scandal as well. Get the Sprout. That's one dead. Shadow Demon also get the kill on the Mirana. Easy, easy setup, and clean it up on the Lina. Or no, wait, Lina, I believe, TP'd out. Yeah, she definitely did there, so no problem. But even so, losing 2 heroes like that in a 4 versus 3, almost 4 versus 2 situation with Lina kind of going for the quick abandon. Either way, it's just really, really screwing Rox over, because this is obviously the opposite of what they want to be occurring.
Well, and again, it's not only did they lose 2, but they lost the one person who needs to get farm. Mirana really can't afford to fall behind of this Lifestealer. Because like you had said, they rely very, very heavily on being able to get that snowball rolling and just constantly team fight forever. And push towers and never give Blow the space he needs. But unfortunately, that's not happening.
Yeah, so it looks like they're actually going to leave Buzz to just do a little bit of offlane action with that rank 1 leap. They have a little bit of smoke up, they get an illusion rune on the puck, and they want to put this pressure on Vigos. The blink cast time is enough that if they do get the disruption, they can be following this up with a lot, and then go through after the Light Strike Array with a Waning Rift or a Dream Coil. They can really, really screw over Vigos, but he knows they're missing. He knows they just dropped down, and as professional as he is, he's willing to be in this position. Silent, even transitioning in, knowing something's fishy, and they're not even going to fall for the smoke, even if they can't see it. So the ward did have plenty of vision if they hadn't smoked, but just his amazing map awareness, him hiding underneath his tower for that short time span, and Bane always at the ready. This is a professional team at work.
Yeah, and it's one of those things this is where the little things show the skill. Like you had said, he knew that something was going on. He even put that ward up there just to make sure that they weren't sitting slightly out. And we're actually going to see Sharfik try and go in.
Yeah, he does dodge out the screen, so he's in a pretty good spot there, but the silence is only rank 1. Not that sufficient with the Brain Sap and the Sonic Wave. It's enough to bring him down. So quick little exchange there, 1 versus 2, in over his head, and it's started to look a little bit more like what we saw last game. A little bit better for Sharfik in the sense that he can dodge out and avoid more of the more dangerous scenarios, but it's going to get more and more difficult as time goes by, and Biz might have to actually use a leap. No, Rage comes out, and it's just going to do a couple auto attacks back and forth. But if Lifesteal is able to just walk in 1 versus 3 because he has a rank 2 Rage and Face Boots, suddenly things are bad. But actually finding a window, they'll get the Soul Catcher unfortunately on Godblock, but they're still going to put a lot of big hits in here. Lifestealer finally getting his Rage back up, but he did drop down to 300. So finding a window where the Rage was on CD, that was a nice little opportunity to actually put some real pressure on him, but he's still doing well in CS, 31 versus Mirana's 19.
Yeah, he's already got his phase boots. We see an Orb of Venom actually get picked up, so he wants to be able to just constantly keep on those people. He understands that he's leagues ahead in terms of speed. Like, his movement speed is way, way higher than anybody else. And they're actually, I think, looking to give a double damage to... no, Vigos
yeah.
picked that up.
Oh, very, very close. It's actually going to be Business Perfect that gets the double damage rune. So a little bit unfortunate for him. He was uncertain if he had any allies right nearby. That ward's really nice, but one thing it lacks is the vision to the southeast there. So kind of seeing that cut off, it was a little bit risky. And I got to say, as aggressive and balls to the walls and dominating as Vigos plays, I'm really loving to see the passive and very, very clairvoyant side of Vigos that knows where danger may lie and the one who doesn't take unnecessary risks.
Yeah, because he has a little bit of a reputation as being this hyper-aggressive player, and I've seen plenty of games where he'll just randomly dive in and die. Like, all of a sudden there's 4 people there and he ends up dying, and I mean, I don't want to say he's thrown games, but he's definitely done stupid and risky things. So, like you said, it's very nice to see that he's kind of pulling himself back, matured a little bit as a player, and is willing to just secure the win rather than get his own personal glory.
Yeah. And, I mean, we're still seeing that aggression come out. Last game was amazing. This game, he still has that one extra kill advantage, or at least assist advantage on the puck. So, in this position here, he's still playing very aggressively, but he's finding that nice little balance where he doesn't always have to be reckless, I guess is the best way to phrase it. He just jumps in, he finds his opportunities, exploits the enemy's mistakes, but he doesn't go in over his head. And that's really, really important. And it shows a lot of growth as a player in general. So, showing that on Empire's lineup just gives them even more power. They're already an overwhelmingly powerful team, and I really am happy to see how well they bounced back since the loss of Funnick, which I was honestly afraid it might cripple them a little bit, but in this situation, they seem to be doing amazingly well, not only against rox.KIS, but in general. But now, we do see Wrath of Nature coming out, a lot of damage onto Dread, and it's going to be enough damage, I believe, for Vigos, helping out with a couple of right clicks and the tower to secure that kill. So really, really good move. Scandal's timing, the ultimate couldn't have been better, and from there they pick up yet another kill, 5-0.
Yeah, and all this time, Lifestealer's farming away. He's jumping into the jungle now, clearing some of that out. It's level 7, 800 gold saved up, so I imagine we'll see that drum come out very quickly. And, I mean, this isn't exactly the situation they want to be.
Yeah, I mean, looking at them, I mean, this is what, their third or fourth smoke? I believe third. But either way, that's 300 gold down the drain. They can't even afford boots right now for either of them. I already talked about the fact that they're pretty slow, and we do, yeah, I was about to be confused about the movement speed, but that's just the smoke buff at work. Either way, Vigos is going to have his tread shortly, and he has his rank 3 blink, nothing in Shadow Strike, so from there, he can just jump on these supports, and as long as Sharfik isn't there to hold them at bay, Hardy and Yul are gonna be just dropped so quickly. Now they're trying to make that turned around here. They will actually be able to, no, Global Silence, beautiful silence coming out of Godblock. I'm amazed he's hit 6 so far, turning around with the Global Silence, or sorry, the Sonic Wave, hitting on Sharfik. He does get Nightmared. Nice Nightmare. The illusion though, the illusion takes it, and that's just gonna let it so that they actually can get the kill across the board on their entire team. Plenty of assists there, defending the top tower now from the Darkseer, but oh my gosh, that action. The Global Silence is to make sure that they couldn't initiate on Vigos any further, and then turning around during that time period to dish out the damage, and even Silent to secure and to disrupt the jaunt with that Nightmare. Can it get better than that?
Well, yeah, that Nightmare was incredible. Like, it seemed to stop him mid-jaunt almost. And I do really like the cute little play of using the illusion to break yourself out. It was a good attempt, but by that time there was 4 members of Empire around you, and I'm sorry, as maneuverable and as slippery as Puck can be, you're not getting away from 4 people.
Yeah. And it's just that, I mean, one thing I was commenting on in the midst of that, Godblock found level 6 insanely quickly for a support. Generally speaking, especially based on the fact that the ward was on the pole. The pole was blocked off, there was no independent neutral experience, and instead we still saw him find windows of opportunity, either leeching from the lane. We do see, oh, Fiend's Grip attempted on mid, they will get it in the end. Yeah, they still have vision, it's going to be enough damage to burn him down. Light Strike Array, keeping Sharfik alive, turning around with the Dream Coil. They might actually finally pick up a kill on the board with that orb to actually set them up 1-7, but just walking away. Queen of Pain will be perfectly fine, but the Moonlight Shadow disrupting any aggression from Godblock here.
Yeah, unfortunately, Vigos seemed to back off, thinking that the Fiend's Grip would finish off Puck. Needed that one last right click. I mean, a little bit of a misplay, but Empire is still in a wonderful, healthy position. Yeah,
and if the rox.KIS hadn't answered, if they hadn't come in to try to help out their allies, then it would have been just completely unnecessary to go in and put himself up for a couple more right clicks. But there was no harm in it, and the time that he wasted not going for that, actually Scandal in a bad spot, but be able to be TPing on out. Either way, yeah, the time that he didn't get that last right click off, of course, Lilina was able to capitalize on to keep Sharfik alive and turn it around on Silent. So that was nice for them, a little bit getting thrown a bone, but in the end, for the second time, Bane does get dropped down. They did commit the Wall of Replica from the Darkseer, but they found another kill, and that's what they really need to keep have happening if they're going to have any chance of pulling this out.
Yeah, unfortunately, Ion Shell plus Wall, really good, really powerful, but I mean, a little bit of overly aggressive, I guess. They're still kind of testing it, and sometimes you need that little bit of extra aggression just because you want to see what you can still do.
Yeah, good knowledge of the positioning of the Darkseer going in. He was pushing the tower a bit, tried to find a window where he could just go through this secret shop, but they would not have any of that. They had Wrath of Nature coming, they committed Vigos' ulti, they're just like, this guy's going down 100%, and despite Darkseer's impressive strength values, despite the fact that he's almost out of mech, he just didn't stand a chance. So that kind of play, yeah, you can get a kill if you on the Bane occasionally if you commit a lot of cooldowns, but they're going to make you pay for it when you try to go in a position like that.
Well, and it's one of those things that it's a natural transition because it's like, well, the Mirana has no farm, so we don't really need to worry about her for a while. Puck doesn't really have anything, so we don't really need to worry about him for a while. Lena and SD, who cares about them? So hey, Darkseer's farming decently well, let's kill Darkseer.
Yeah, most definitely. If they can just disrupt all of those different big item purchases, they're going to be a great spot. But with the Fiend's Creep on Sharfik here, it should be a pretty easy kill, no problem at all. Sharfik is already pretty much dead in the water, so that, quite literally actually. But that's going to be him dropping down 30 seconds in the grave. And yeah, like you were saying, the mechanism now up on Darkseer, they weren't quick enough to disrupt that purchase, but if he doesn't have a pipe anytime soon, they're still doing a great job. No blink on the Puck, no real threat from the right-click damage of Mirana. They are still in full control, not only in the map sense, as they continue to put more and more aggressive wards out, but in general the team fight and the items that they're being picked up. We do see Godblack getting hit by a very powerful arrow. I think it was 4 seconds or something along those lines, but with 3 here, Wall Replica does come out, Global Silence in return, but Godblack is going to drop down. Darkseer wants a piece of Silent, but we are going to have a quick pause coming out for the Shadow Demon disconnect, which is rather important considering Hardy's positioning here.
Yeah, it's that's not exactly where you want to be. I mean, where is Vigos? Vigos is just coming up now. He doesn't have his ult, but I mean, he can blink and scream, and that'll pretty much clean up what's left of this fight. And hopefully he'll be able to save Silent here, but...
Yeah, I mean, even if he can't save Silent, the fact is he has a haste rune. And the haste rune with a rank 4 Queen of Pain blink, I mean, this is pretty much a full opening. Now, there is a mechanism still up on Darkseer. He's going to pop that off in a very, very short period of time, but that will only help out Mirana and Dread so much. I mean, Biz and Dread are in such an aggressive position here that they can definitely make them pay for it. As far as the Nature's Prophet contribution, he does have that teleport up as well. So as long as they avoid this wall here, they're going to be able to definitely engage in this fight more appropriately. But there are a couple things to keep in mind. There is the Moonlight Shadow active, so Yol is going to be able to get a stun off almost guaranteed because they don't see it coming, and then hopefully get out scot-free. But from there, they're probably just going to try to get the kill on Silent and disengage as quickly as possible through the aforementioned Wall of Replica.
Yeah, one thing that is also important, and it would have been nice to if that fight was delayed by about 15 seconds, because Blow actually has Armlet on the way. And yeah, we're just filling space here. Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Oh, there we go. There.
Bonus time. So we do see Shadow Demon coming back on in, and that's no problem at all. But hopefully he'll be raring to go for this next fight here. And then they jump on into it. Now, again, everybody does have that invisibility. As far as detection goes, I believe Prophet, yes, Scandal has some detection available. Whether he just picked that up or has had it in the past, either way, he's going to drop a sentry in on the action here, and that's going to allow them to try to go for an exchange.
Yeah, we're going to see Vigos.
All of them walking away. The Sentry Ward does come down. Now Vigos just destroying the Mirana really, really quickly. Quick auto attacks on Yol. Should finish him off as well. And with that Moonlight Shadow expired, only Puck is on the action. But Lifestealer is here with that Armlet active. Try and just walk away. Break the Dream Coil before the Rage expires. Very, very nice. Sprouting and Hardy. He's in a bad spot, but he does have that disruption. We do see Vigos actually in a bad spot. Hasting away. Will it be enough? No. He gets locked down. Sharfik had that Iron Shell, doing a lot of damage there. Dread duking it out with Blow Your Brain, but he has that Armlet. He has that Feast rank 4, doing too much here. Now falling up, Sharfik should possibly drop. It's hard to say, but with this disruption, they're actually going to be able to pull him out of this, most likely. Sharfik taking too much, though. The Brain Sap does come down, even with the Light Strike array to try to peel them off. Scandal getting a lot of damage from Dread. He might get him, but he has to get a perfect vacuum here. Does manage that. The mechanism keeps alive, but it's going to be Biz that comes on in for the kill. Does not finish off Scandal. Such low life, but trying to at least pick off something. In the end, there is a false Armlet toggle from the Lifestealer. He does drop down, so there is some nice action coming out of rox.KIS in response to this, but it's just not enough. With the arrow coming up in 4 seconds and just barely about to have enough mana available, it's just not enough.
Yeah, it's one of those, he just can't commit to this, and actually Vigos might find him here.
Yeah. Nope.
Oh, nope. Gonna blink the wrong way. He'll pick up DD, though.
Pretty happy, and he might just happen upon him in the jungle. That's a possibility. But how do you feel about that fight? Who really came out on top in that exchange?
Honestly, I think Empire did, because they traded fairly evenly, and they don't need to rush this game. The longer the game goes, then it works for them. I mean, they scoop up a tower because of Vigos, and I mean, it's just they don't need to rush the game. Mirana's not going to be a threat come like the 40-minute mark.
Yeah.
and they'll be able to easily clean up these team fights.
Yeah, I'm a little bit back and forth about it. There's a couple of different things that both sides can kind of have as a takeaway. They did get their first kill on the Queen of Pain and the Lifestealer. Those two have been rampaging around for way too long without facing much recompense. So the couple of sprees broken, and that's pretty nice for them. We do see actually a missed timing of that, but with the Infest, it's just enough damage to finish off the Lina really quickly, and with the Sonic Wave to conclude on the Mirana, despite the leap. Looking for a very belated silence. I think they could have done that sooner. I do actually have a weird bug that pops up a bunch of music, so I'll stop that real quick. I'm not sure why it does that sometimes, but... Oh, it did it. Stop it. Either way. Anyways, cleaning it up. Shoot, that's unfortunate. We do see that they were going to be able to just 100% clean it up. There was Darkseer trying to play a little bit too aggressively, and instead it just ends up being too much for them to handle. They get dropped down, and they obviously, it's just moving kind of the same way as the previous game. Just really, really good team play by Empire. And how did the last bit of that fight go? Just Darkseer tried to go for a desperation wall?
Yeah, I think so. I didn't quite catch it. I think he was just looking to maybe clean up blow, but some smart armlet targeting or something along those lines. I mean, at this point, they're kind of just throwing whatever they can.
Yeah.
And hoping that it sticks because they need something to happen very soon.
Yeah, for the viewers, sorry about that, guys. It's just this weird bug that happens. It's happened like 2 days ago and happened this time around, but it does have like crazy music spikes during a certain kinds of combat. I don't know exactly what it's about, but I probably should have waited until the end of the fight to fix that. So sorry that we did miss the very, very last kill, but in the end, it was still completely Empire's fight to take. They had so much great initiation. Even though they wasted one scream from Vigos, they were able to jump in with the Infest and the Blink and just dish out a lot of damage real quick. Speaking of the Lifestealer here, we do have Blow Your Brain down on bottom, dropping pretty low, but he's so confident with his armlet and with his rage that he can pretty much handle just about anything, but that might be a bit of an overstatement as they are committing all 5 heroes to a little bit of 5-man Dota down on bottom. It didn't work for them very well last time. Now their Wall of Replica is on cooldown for a few more seconds, but now that it's up, how do you think if they can take this fight or not?
I honestly don't know. I mean, Wall is great, but it's only one piece of it.
Yeah, getting the tower kill at least. Mirana did finish that off, but here we see Blow Your Brain right in the middle of the thick of things. Dread gonna be focused really quickly, and with that Brain Sap, easy pick off. Nice Sentry Ward being dropped down. Mirana's gonna drop as well, looking for Hardy. Easy clicks, and it's just, I mean, they have such a level advantage, such an item advantage. It's just pretty much they can get a kill, 1 or 2, but they've lost 4. And there really was no point in this fight where they were under control in this circumstance. I mean, the Wall of Replica might have changed that, but it didn't come out, and instead rox.KIS just running around like chickens with their heads cut off. They generally are a very, very strong team, but in this circumstance, it just feels like Empire is very resolute in how they're handling these fights. They start things off, and from there, rox.KIS doesn't have an answer.
Yeah, and I mean, it always seems like, at least in the early game, it's always Empire that's initiating fights. Like, you very rarely were seeing ganks initiated by Rox. It was a lot of, they might get a couple kills because of a counter initiation or something like that, but it was very, very rare for them to try and like curl around and wrap up behind people.
So, actually blink up on the Bane. That is pretty much a very easy way of expressing how this game has gone. When you have a blink Bane at 20 minutes, you know that Empire is doing something right here. They did actually do some cheeky play, making sure that the Nature's Prophet could escape away as well, but rather than escaping, he's actually playing a little bit of split push Dota up on top, taking down the tower for the Radiant, and then from there, putting pressure on the tier 3, which makes rox.KIS have to make the decision to commit to a battle in the out in the field, out in the open, or if they're going to try to defend their base. But for now, Scandal's just going to send Trents that way and make the push a little bit more leisurely, give them a little bit more breathing room, but I don't think that's going to be for too much longer. Now, we do see a pick off right here. Dread almost getting dropped down there. They did not commit the Fiend Script, though, and with that, Mechanism did come out. The arrow did land on Bane, but now blinking back on in. He's already ready to go. Sonic Wave from Vigos doing a lot of damage here, but is it enough? With that blink, they might get out. Yol not so lucky with the Fiend's Grip. Dread on the back end. He did pop off that wall, but only to drop himself. So there's just a bunch of illusions running on around, but although they cannot clean up the puck, although they cannot clean up the morale, I might spoke too soon. The arrow does come out onto Vigos. A lot of damage going across, but with a nice disable coming out of the Bane, I think, no, too much. With that second Starfall deck, with another right click, they finish it off. Sharpfake, however, getting dropped down with a good silence and a good open wounds. Now, Business Perfect trying to walk right on out of here, just like he owns the place. Of course, he is invisible and now is having to watch out for Bane's positioning, but without any mana, I don't think Silence is too much of a threat here.
Yeah, in fact, he might be in a bit of a bad spot.
Oh, big arrow. Very, very fortunate for them to land that out. Now Biz doesn't have leap. He did actually in treads for the leap, but gets hit by the scream anyways. One more right click from Vigos does the trick, and he just walks away. Lina trying to clean up onto Lifestealer, but he's got that armlet, and he's going to TP on out. Vigos jumping away, gets earned up. With the Demonic Purge, hits him just a sliver of time too quickly. Maybe if you did like the perfect tread swap bottle, Magic Wand was on cooldown, but I don't know. It was so close, but unfortunately, even a rank 1 Demonic Purge still enough to bring him down. Now Goblak in a bad spot, but they're just kind of going back and forth. I'm not sure what that means whatsoever, but either way, right now, 29-12. Empire, even in this spot with Goblak a little bit out of position, I don't feel that they have any real threats coming on into them, especially since we already talked about the fact that rox.KIS needed to stabilize themselves very early. They needed to be able to get the ball rolling, and it feels like it's just kind of fallen the other direction.
Yeah, we're seeing Orchid's done on Vigos. We've almost got an Orchid finished on Blow. In fact, he's got it on the way now. What's Nature's Prophet God? He's working his way towards a Hex, I believe.
Yeah, so he's going to be in a great spot. I mean, Shadowblade for a little bit of extra burst from Scandal. He can also do some nice split push play with it. On top of that, good utility with the mechanism and soon to be the Scythe of Ice. He's going to be in a great spot to contribute a lot to the team fight or the split push one way or another. He's very flexible, and that's a good item build to make sure that'll be accomplished right off the bat. We do see an arrow come on out. It's going to hit on Scandal. It is a 5-second arrow, but they need TPs this very second, and it's just coming out a little bit too late. So the tower will fall. Yol is in a weird spot. He wanted to go for that Laguna Blade. He can get it, but he needs a lot of extra damage to finish this. With the mechanism coming out, Scandal's still perfectly fine. Now, with this Demonic Purge coming out, it won't be the case. Biz getting ultied by the Bane and a couple more right clicks after, again, a very belated ultimate from Goblak. Now Dread in a bad spot, has no tree cutters, caught out 100%, and Sharpik, once again, will be the only one to survive, if that. Nice arrow onto Vigos with a buyback from the Mirana, but going in, desperation, trying to get a kill out of this. It's, I mean, at best, you bring him low, it's just not possible. Biz doesn't have that kind of damage with a Yasha only.
Yeah, it's one of those situations that's like, okay, well, sure, they got a kill, but they lost like 3, and it's just, at this point, Empire is so far ahead that they really can't stabilize themselves. They've missed their timing window, really. So, unfortunately, I don't want to necessarily say it's GG, because there is always the chance to throw, but Empire is not exactly the kind of team that's going to throw.
Yeah, no, they've been playing very, very well throughout this entire game, and I mean, they've only dropped down 13 times. They have a very, very nice advantage, and even in this position here, even when Sound's in the middle of their base, he's still perfectly comfortable with taking some kills here. Scandal gonna be able to TP out before taking too much damage. Bane not so lucky, but in general, they've just been going back and forth, and it seems like it's enough for them to stay up here. Looking for a nice silence onto Dread. Not
in the meantime, Blow is taking top racks.
Yeah, he was putting pressure on that earlier, and the tower obviously has fallen. Now bringing down the melee racks, and that's going to be a nice little way to kind of put the first nail in the coffin, and soon to just kind of finalize their victory here. Again, this is a best of 3 series, I should still say. So this is game 2. If Empire wins it, and that definitely seems to be moving that direction, then they are fully taking the match here. One thing to point out for that is that the Premier League always does a post-match interview with one of the winning teams after the fact, so hopefully we can get one of the players from Empire to give us a little bit of thoughts on this game here, hopefully anyways, and we'll see if that's the case. Obviously, we still have a few more minutes to go in this game, but it definitely is looking a little bit too much in favor of Empire right now.
Yeah, unfortunately, Rox just went with too early of a lineup. They were relying on early advantages, and this was about the time that they wanted to be taking down tier 2s. Like, they wanted to be taking down tier 2s so that they could start pressuring racks, start taking Roshan, stuff like that. They've only taken a single tier 1, 25 minutes into the game. They're already a racks down, they're about to be 2 sets of racks.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, they have a little bit of roach control with that wall, but popping it off just to kind of dissuade them from putting pressure on your tier 3, now that's completely open to Empire as well. And from there, oh my gosh, Bane with that blink dagger can just jump in and do that quick burst. It's always unexpected from the opposition because you generally don't see it this early in the game. Yeah, 40 minutes, it's great for maneuverability to get that Fiend's Grip off, but right now they're so low HP, and they're just doing that damage completely out of nowhere. Dread getting dropped down as well. The tankiest hero in the game, but doesn't stand a chance. We do see Fiend's Grip onto Business Perfect as well to seal the deal here. And yeah, there we go.
Yeah, and I mean, I get why Rox hasn't called GG, because, I mean, it's game 2, they literally have nothing to lose for trying to draw this out. It's not like in game 1 where you might want to GG a little bit early just because you don't want to get super frustrated, save yourself for the next game. But there you go, yeah, this is about to be megas. And unfortunately, the draft was just a little awkward. Like, I'm gonna just throw it down entirely. It was Rox's drafting. I don't think Mirana was the right pickup for them.
Yeah, it was a difficult pick. I mean, that in that draft situation, having only one carry option to pretty much directly counteract the Lifestealer, you only have so many different things. I mean, a Lone Druid might have been nice if you carry him up quickly, but I don't know. It's really awkward, and in that position, Mirana, they were hoping the Tri-Lane would do a lot better. Heck, an Alchemist might have fared a little bit better than Mirana. Either way, it's kind of a moot point. It's something that people can reflect on in the future, but right here, rox.KIS did not make their lineup work. The bottom lane did not prosper, quite the opposite, and from there, the entire Empire squad just taking it down, now moving in towards a 40k gold advantage and the same inexperience. Always so good for them. So that's going to be it for Game 2 here. We do see moving in towards that, but this has been a Premier League presentation of Empire versus rox.KIS. That was Game 2 of the best of 3, concluding the matchup with a 2-0 sweep. Any closing thoughts on it?
I don't know, like I said, I sort of was talking about it at the end of there, but the draft just didn't seem to work out. I think it would have been better to maybe pick up like a Chaos Knight or something like that instead of the Mirana. Like, if you wanted to go for kind of mid-game team fighty, you could have gone with a Sven or a Chaos Knight, like somebody who still gives you that decent amount of team fight and mid-game power without being such a crutch like Mirana, because Mirana really just relies on those arrow setups, doesn't really provide a lot in right-click damage. Or maybe instead of like the Puck, picking up even like a Shadow Fiend or something like that, somebody else that could have helped the Mirana with the carry duties, because otherwise she just got crapped on all game.
I actually think it's Sharpie speak of the Mask of Madness that lost it for them here. Just completely.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah, Mirana going for one as well. It's just like, you know, when you go for that kind of item. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, definitely. I mean, when you got triple drums on a Bane and a Blink Dagger, you know that they just have that kind of overwhelming advantage. A couple of Orchids on out to add a little bit of extra pain with that Silencer ultimate, following that up with Orchids with Last Words. There's just really nothing that rox.KIS can do to maneuver around, and they lost this in two places. They lost it in the laning phase, they lost it to an extent in the draft as well, because they put all their eggs in this one basket, and that basket just got tipped over and cracked them all. So unfortunately that doesn't work out for them in this scenario. We're going to see Empire take this full match, and then now we're going to be moving on the live stream for those in Dota TV. Twitch, it's going to be twitch.tv/the Premier League. We're going to be trying to get one of the Empire guys on to do a post-match interview here. But other than that, it's been an honor casting for you guys. This is Blaze, and also Blightwind. You want to plug your stream or anything?
Yeah, sure. If you guys want to check me out, I'm twitch.tv/Blightwind. I do some streams of my mediocre play there. If you want to follow me on Twitter, I'm at Blight_Dota. And on YouTube, I am Insadius, or you can just search Blightwind Dota and I should come up as well. And I would appreciate your guys' support.
Cool. Well, thanks for coming on for today, and yeah, this was a pretty interesting game here. So a little bit brief, a little bit stompy, but all in all, a solid play by Empire, and that's always nice to see. So thanks for coming on, man, and we'll go on into that Ask the Pros interview in just a little bit.